So for the next X amount of minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about nutrition documentaries, which is a subject that certainly I'm a little torn on, mainly because A, I love to watch them to laugh at them, but B, they seem to have a certain level of influence on people to a point where they confuse people, kind of in the mildest form, they confuse people, and in the extreme form, they legitimately convince people that they need to be eating a particular way, and that tends to be a more extreme way. So I'm torn because, like I said, I do enjoy watching them, but that's just because from an educator's standpoint and just based on what I know they are straight hot garbage, trash, so bad. And I'm saying nutrition documentaries. I'm not saying vegan specific. I'm not saying ketogenic specific, but currently, or against sugar, whatever it is, I have yet to see really any that are 100% factually based and aren't incredibly, like, it's mind-boggling how biased they are, which is not what I think about when I think about a documentary. I think about something, a person or an organization, someone, think of like Blue Planet, whatever it might be, Discovery Channel. You think of trying to explore and figure out what is a good nutrition plan, what would help the country, what would help the world, its impact on the environment. So going from a place of not knowing to a place of knowing. And I feel really strongly that nutrition documentaries are straight up lying to you. I'm not saying that they're just misleading you. I think that they are deliberately lying to you. That's not, which essentially eliminates the premise that I just came up with, that you're going from a place of not knowing to a place of knowing, which is simply curiosity, and that's the education process, moving from a place of not knowing to a place of knowing. And that is not what is happening in a nutrition documentary. What's happening is they have their agenda, and then they pinpoint specific places they can go, be that actual locations or people they speak to, and they mold this garbage fest of information so that it fits that agenda, so it fits that particular narrative. And then they switch to this extremist point of view and tell you you need to be consuming this particular way because it is the only logical, ethical, educated way to consume food for whatever the outcome is, if that's anti-diabetes, anti-obesity, whatever it is, or anti-cancer. And it's just not the case. It's just not the way things work in the world or in the body. And you'll see a lot of red flags. Like, you'll see the same experts, quote unquote, and let me say that for the podcast specifically, quote unquote experts, they pop up over and over and over again, not just within the same documentary, but across documentaries. So if you can find the agenda, and I'm going to pick on, let's say, veganism for a second. No problems with veganism personally. In any right, I'm actually thinking about transitioning myself more towards a vegetarian style and maybe eventually consider the whole veganism route for moral reasons. But beyond that, you will see these experts, let's say, in a vegan documentary, and there are many vegan documentaries at this point, and they're interviewed always. It's always those experts. You don't usually see much divergence from those particular experts. So what red flag does that tell you? That tells you that these are the people that are continuously harping on this one subject. And I'm not saying that it's 100% foolproof that they are biased towards that one subject. But if they're getting paid to be part of a documentary that is constantly slanting and moving towards getting people to eat this particular lifestyle, and you see them pop up in every single documentary about that lifestyle, there's a good chance, there is a very good chance that those are the experts, quote unquote experts, that you should probably not be listening to, because they have completely sold out to, or maybe not even sold out, but they're at least incredibly biased to their point of view, and they will not budge, or at least they've accentuated their point of view just for the documentary. Maybe if you talk to them face to face, maybe they're a little bit more malleable. Maybe they're not quite as set that, in this particular situation, veganism is the only way to eat. But I will say I have seen one. I watch all of them. I watch as many of these documentaries as I can, partly because they're funny. I mean, to me, they're funny. But again, if you extrapolate that out to the rest of the world, once I see what's actually how they impact people and how they confuse people, that's not funny. That's what I find incredibly irritating. But I have seen one vegan documentary. I can't remember the name of it. If you're interested, you can let me know. I'd be happy to send it to you. I thought they did a good job because they had essentially no experts on. And that sounds a bit weird, but they attracted people to veganism by just explaining kind of their moral explanation of animal cruelty. I get that. I mean, I completely identify with that, and that's something that I'm struggling with in my head. And once I deal with many other responsibilities that I have in my life, I hope that I can transition to eating less animal-based products, things of that nature. But beside that whole point, they made just good philosophical arguments. I can't debate that. That's fine. As a matter of fact, I agree with many of their points. Another thing that they talked about was just how veganism or vegan food and vegetarian food can taste really good. It doesn't have to be animal-based, or it doesn't have to be meat-based. I get that. That is really interesting, and I learned a lot from that. And I had no points. I could not debate any of those points. But when people start saying things like, eggs are as dangerous as cigarettes, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, you have just got to be kidding me. That is so insane. That's so ridiculous to me. Or cancer is only 10% explained by genetics. That is a blatant lie. Like, that is, I can't even begin to express how much of a lie that is. If you talk to any sane cancer biologist or cancer researcher or medical practitioner, they're going to say that genetics is the vast majority of the reason as to why people get cancer. And there are other factors. Of course, there are other factors. But for the vast majority of individuals, it is due to genetics. And then the final point that I wanted to touch on is it really blows my mind that people are experts saying the ketogenic diet is the best diet in. I mean, they literally will never post a single criticism of their point. Never. It's never curtailed in any way. It's always just, yes, this is the way. Everything else sucks. Ketogenic diet experts say that about the ketogenic diet. Okay? Then you have vegan diet experts that are saying the exact same thing, but about the vegan diet. And then you have people in all these different camps, paleo, whatever it might be, veganism, vegetarianism, pescatarianism, whatever it is. And yet, how is that possible? How can everybody be right? Well, I'll tell you how everybody can be right. By just being moderate, by just being sane, and just looking at the entire pool of data, having no particular assumptions, not being stuck in your own head thinking that your way is the best way, and just taking the data as it is and just adapting and just subscribing to one belief that you will adapt to any new data that is presented to you. If a vegan diet is better for you in this particular situation, and it consistently shows that in all of the data, or at least the vast majority of the literature, guess what? The vegan diet might just be the best diet for that particular situation. It's having to subscribe to one particular thing and saying that that is all-time best is ludicrous. I mean, that's almost never the case, and it's extremism at its finest. So, yes, being moderate just takes the best of all the different diets, and you never hear people screaming, "Oh, you have to be moderate," because there is no extremism there. You're just taking, "Oh, the ketogenic diet is really good for this. Oh, okay. Well, I'll consider that. I'll take that and I'll use that information and I'll implement that. Oh, the vegan diet's really good for, let's say, micronutrients. Okay, well, I'll try and eat more plant-based products and make sure that I'm limiting some of my animal food products." I mean, it's really that simple. Just being moderate and just adapting with the science, just adapting with the literature. It really, really blows my mind how much people, and the jokes just are nonstop. Oh, here comes a ketogenic diet person. Here comes a person who wants to talk about veganism. The jokes continue because it's evident, like from the very first sentence a person says, it's obvious you have an insane bias towards your point of view, and you will not even consider the possibility that you are wrong. Like that blows my mind. It just blows my mind. Oh, okay. I'm going to end it there, but I seriously just adapt to if science comes out, if new science, new data comes out, and the body of literature is pointing towards one thing, and don't ignore literature, don't ignore studies just because they don't fit your narrative. You have to fit the narrative to the actual full body of literature. Okay, I'm done. But nutrition documentaries, they're straight up lying to you. That's the bottom line.